Oh, that's a cute picture. Oh, yeah. See how he looks autistic? Don't you think the one on the right?
Right?
Yeah. Got that little look in his eye.
Oh, so cute.
Oh, I gotta start video, I think. And I got
All right, it is 10 o'clock even. I'll call the meeting of Waupaca County Traffic Highway Safety Commission to order. Roll call is done or being done if anybody pops in. Open meeting statement. This meeting and all other meetings of this committee are open to the public. Proper notice has been posted and given in to the media in accordance with Wisconsin statutes so that the citizenry may be aware of the time, place, and agenda of this meeting. For approve amend minutes from previous meeting. I believe Kim sent out the minutes of the last meeting. Do I have a motion for approval?
I'll make a motion for that.
That's one. Is there a second?
I can second.
Thank you, Tony. In discussion? Any changes anybody saw? If not, I'll take a motion or I'll take a vote on all those in favor of approving the minutes of the previous meeting, say aye.
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 Can I ask under roll call? It is Joe McClone on Zoom.
Yes,
Sure.
I'm here.
Okay, then
Oh, wait, here.
I'll mark you down as being on Zoom, Joe.
Yes, I am. I'm Zoom and I called Kim yesterday about it.
Okay, thank you.
All those opposed? Nobody? Carried? The agenda for this meeting. Do I have a motion for that to approve it?
Craig moves to approve.
Thank you. Pat, second?
I'll second.
Thank you. In discussion? If not, I'll take a vote, say, any to approve the agenda.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Public input. There's no public here. I don't see public on Zoom. All right. We will move on to reports. I will start with mine. I got mine up. Pat, you said you saw Kyle on the agenda?
Kyle, what about the agenda? I get it from Pat.
I got a different copy
For
though.
Grant.
I'll take the one you give me. I had printed one off early on, so. I just didn't wanna, I was gonna move you in with me, but if you're on your separate meeting, you can, I'll just hit you in order. All right, so my report then. For January 2022, property damage crashes 71, injury crashes 9, 11 people injured in those 9 crashes, 0 in serious, 7 minor, 4 possible injuries, 0 fatalities. So for January, we're showing total 80 crashes, 71 property damage and 9 injury. For February, 47 property, 11 injury crashes, 11 people hurt, 1 serious, 4 minor, 6 probable or possible, 0 fatalities. 58 total crashes for February. For March, 63 property damage crashes, 11 injury crashes, 13 people hurt, 0 serious, 9 minor, 4 possible, 0 fatalities. 74 total crashes for the month of March. So for the quarter numbers, 181 property damage crashes, 31 injury crashes, 35 people hurt. And they are broken up into 1 serious, 20 minor, 14 possible injury, for a total of 212 crashes for the first quarter of 2022 in Waupaca County. And just so everybody's aware, that is also including all the municipalities and everything, not just county numbers. Any questions on those numbers? And Rick, if you have different numbers, I hope not, because I think I took them off the same spot you do.
It's just, I don't use card years. You do.
Okay,
Mine, that's the only reason mine are a little different.
yeah, I don't
I don't
factor them
card
out, right? Injury, serious injury, correct. Casey,
Todd, I think the Waupaca County posted there was a fatal at 10 in Highway A. What happened with that one? 1:33 in the morning. I didn't know about
it
it.
was 1 vehicle, I think a rollover. The person was taken to the hospital in the valley. They died recently.
Okay.
Yeah, it was like a week after.
Yeah.
They were
that
talking,
happened.
they were talking at the scene.
Yeah,
Oh,
Up walking around, talking. He had medical issues that I think just exacerbated the injury.
but it's gonna count.
Yeah,
That'll be an April number. But that will unfortunately add 1 to, but that'll show up next time.
Yeah, that one hasn't been submitted to the state yet.
Correct.
no, I mean,
The accident report might be there, but, April 5th,
yeah, but his death was on the 11th.
and the officer's currently doing the paperwork to catch up to that one. I think, in fact, we just put out a press release early this morning. And we believe alcohol is a factor in that crash. So any questions to those numbers? If not, I will leave the screen with the crashes on the county from the, everybody can see where the crashes were. Kind of Highway 10, Waupaca area, a few crashes. I don't think that's out of the realm. You can kind of see where the Highway 45 is, Highway 10. All right. Next up, Casey.
yes, I've asked, good morning, everyone. We just came from the new county board orientation, so that was why we all just stepped in.
Is this what you wanted, Casey?
Yes, so Highway Commissioner Steingraber from Outagamie County had mentioned to me a few days ago that he was gonna send a draft of resolution that Outagamie County is looking to pass in support for the DOT planning, designing, and installing a roundabout at the intersection of US 45, State Highway 15, County Highway T, right there by New London, where there was just a fatal here a month ago or so. In that, I was going to take it to the Highway Committee first, but this was my first opportunity, as I just received it yesterday. And so, with support from this committee and the Highway Committee, I will go forward and draft up a resolution to send to to accompany Outagamie counties in support of a roundabout at that intersection. So just following up with that real quick. Outside of that, we're starting to see a lot of vehicles parked in the road right of way again. And following the right process to get them removed. What would that be? Such as one right now is on double Q. It looks like the car rolled over, lost the tire, took off the license plate and just left it there. I gotta get that one removed if it's something I can do.
That vehicle actually belongs to that property. It was struck from another vehicle left the road and struck that vehicle. So
That's why we need it.
that's why it's there.
Is it in the right away?
It's in there, it was in their driveway when it was struck.
Yeah,
Kind of hanging off the driveway,
Yeah,
but it's in the driveway, it's on the property, because I did inquire about that also at that residence, so.
here's a picture of it if we want to pass it around.
Used to be a lawnmower dealer there and stuff.
No, it's farther down.
It sticks out beyond the mailbox. I sent Casey a picture this morning. It's been that way for a month.
It's been there for a month or so and it's in our clear zone and it needs to get removed.
Supervisor McClone, did you have input?
I sent Casey a picture of that this morning. The other thing I'm hearing about is whenever we're gonna do something with Highway 110, and I know it's further down the years with the state, but that's the biggest thing I hear about consistently. But this vehicle, you know, it sticks out beyond the mailbox, probably no farther than some garbage dumpsters on the garbage day, but it's close to the blacktop. It's not good.
You're very hard to hear, like you're very distant. I don't know, Pat, you-
I'm right by it. I'm sorry.
Basically, he was saying it's sticking out beyond where the mailbox is. So it's in the highway right away and he's feeling it should be removed. That's what I could hear.
Anything within the clear zone should get moved, which is typically 12 feet from the white edge line.
Just let us know where these are. Or-
I don't remember this.
Yeah.
All right.
There's another one on County Trunk Highway E, just north of 161, where I know the township had asked to take it out of the ditch. And they temporarily took it out of the ditch and then they've just put it back and they added a boat. So just on County Highway E, north of State Highway 161. At night, when you're driving, it looks like there's taillights facing you and we're gonna have to get them taken out of the road right away. Nice guy up there, just means well, but tried to sell his vehicle and obviously wasn't trying too hard because he never took the snow off of it all winter. So that's all I've got from the highway standpoint, other than construction's kicking off here very soon, so.
Question,
Questions for Casey?
is,
Pat?
is T and 4515, is that the one south of New London?
Yes, it is.
So does that impact the design of that new 15 that they're coming through with moving like Frick Ford and, you know, the entrance and all that kind of thing?
No, it doesn't.
Because we have enough room out right away to make up.
That intersection is not directly involved in that large construction project for the Hortonville bypass.
That goes across that 15. It means 45, Highway 45 is where it intersects.
Oh, you're talking about in Outagamie County?
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about in Waupaca County, just south of New
No, it's
London.
in
That
Outagamie.
stoplight, I was trying to figure out where it was.
There's a
Okay.
railroad track there, which makes a roundabout somewhat problematic, which I think is probably why it hasn't been pushed
Oh.
forward by DOT. I don't have a lot of background on it, but I did do some safety work in there. When I started, I think we changed some of the signal heads to try and make it a little better for getting people through the intersection safely. The roundabout, this is the first time I've heard of it, so I'll let our management know it's coming.
So point it out on the map.
Red dot.
Red dot.
Here.
But it is by Frick Ford.
It is.
Yeah, because they were showing me when I had my oil changed. Here's where the new driveway is going to be. And so I was trying to figure out where the roundabout, that usually takes up land to, you know, make it, but it's not gonna be, you know, a big one, but it's, that was my question. But I see by the yellow, there's a lot of land that we own to be able to put it, you know, a roundabout there. Okay, thank you. So I'm in support of that if that's what you need from this committee because there've been so many accidents.
Outagamie Highway is asking for our support as it is the connecting road into the city of New London, which a big portion of it's in our county. That's why they're asking.
Right, right. I
Which
agree.
part's in our company?
None of that part.
None of that, right? Yeah,
No, but the city is,
the city is,
yeah,
yeah.
I think that's why they're asking.
Any other questions for Casey? Okay, if not, Becky, I see you're on Zoom.
Hi, I don't have anything. I have a question and I want to introduce Lori Eidenberger. She's gonna be she's training to be a new teacher. She'll replace the other driver's instructor teacher who doesn't seem to want to follow traffic laws and is speeding a lot. So that needs to be eliminated. Lori's a kinder, gentler soul and will follow traffic laws. So most of you, a lot of you know her. She's born and raised in New London, Clot. This is her last name, or her maiden name. And then I have a question. I have nothing new for driver's ed, but I think it was Rick last time you talked about, or in the fall, you talked about legislation, the road test and something with driver's license. Is that still on the works? Is Rick here today? If he's talking, I can't hear him.
Can you hear us now?
Yes.
But we can't hear her.
I can't hear her. I can hear her. Why can't you?
Make it louder.
Is Rick talking?
You can't.
We need you
Yeah, I
to
don't
keep
think-
talking,
yeah.
Becky, so we can.
That's not
get
gonna
you
work
bigger.
through there with this new thing.
Well, I can email him. I think last time he talked, there was some legislation, something with 65 or older with your driver's license, and then making the road test waiver permanent. And I just wanted to know if you had an update on that.
Can you hear me, Becky?
I can hear you.
Okay. The driver skills test has not gone anywhere.
Okay,
There's been no change with that. And so far, driver's renewal either. None of that has moved at all.
okay, all right. Thank you. That's all I got.
All right, any questions? Becky, anything else?
Nope.
All right, any questions? Kathy?
Okay, like we covered, there was no fatals in the first quarter. But the traffic accident that happened 10 in Reek in December. Oh my God, her final toxicology back and it was negative across the board.
Okay.
Okay,
I'll have an update on that.
yeah, do you want me to fax? I can fax you a copy of that if you
Yeah.
need it for your report.
Yeah, that'd be
Okay.
great.
Do you want me to fax or email?
Email would probably be best. Kendi.linger@dot.wi.gov.
Okay, I'll get it out.
Any questions? Thank you, Kathy. District Attorney? Ronnie, I don't see her on there. Tony, you are up.
Want to pull up that slide deck? I can
I
go through
will.
construction projects and Waupaca County.
This one?
All right, I'm Tony Chemnitz, the DOT rep for highway projects and highway engineering related issues. Next slide is fine. I'll go over the status of the 2022 construction projects in Waupaca County. We don't have as robust of a year of construction this year as we have in previous. Safety and operational reviews, I can touch on some of the stuff. I don't really have much to report yet. We're gonna start that work this summer. And then if there's any other items of interest in the county, I'm willing to field those. It sounds like the roundabout thing will be something. So, next one. The County Highway Double B Bridge reported on this last meeting. This is a local roads project that we're administering it because of the federal funding involved. It's a bridge replacement that will remove the old bridge, construct a new structure. It was let in January 11th, and Radke Contractors is the apparent low bidder that will be moving forward with construction. Talking to our construction manager, the previous construction schedule I shared of mid-Labor Day has now been shifted out to late summer. It's possible if the contractor can get another crew on board, they'll move it up, but right now it's shifted. There is a detour, obviously, with the removal of the structure. BB will be closed. The detour will follow a portion of double B that's left. And then 54 highway, highway 110 and highway old as well. That's that one.
See if I don't get. Oh, there you go.
That's why we bring Casey.
All right, the next project is also a local roads construction project because of the federal funding with the bridge. This one's on County Highway B, like Boyd, over the south branch of the Little Wolf River. It's a total bridge replacement, just like the other one. Remove the old bridge, construct a new one, install new energy absorbing guardrail terminals and terminals. They got a tiger board on them. They're a square. That's the new style. It'll regrade that intersection at G and B and the approaches. That again was bid on the 11th of January, and Radke Contractors was the apparent bidder on that one as well. Construction was again shifted out to late summer. B and G will be closed and detoured. That will be signed by Waupaca County. All I had was County T 16149B and then 16149 detour on G. So I don't know, Casey, if you want to have more details on how you're going to route the detour.
Yeah, we're gonna cut traffic off heading eastbound on Highway T in Portage County and then run them up to State Highway 161, and then back through Iola down 49. So the detour will actually start outside of our county.
With it being in late summer, there may be school impacts with that are going to have to be coordinated.
They're gonna start right after the Iola, sort of the Scandinavia corn roast.
Okay.
And then the one on double B, I understand they're gonna start after this one. And they're gonna start 3 more after that. So they got like 33 bridges that contractor does.
There it is. The state highway project that we have is a short-term mill and overlay project at about 4.5 miles. State Highway 49 from Depot Street to the south junction of Wisconsin 161. It will mill a variable depth of the asphalt top, provide a new 1.75 asphalt riding surface, just basically a top coat of new asphalt, and try to even out that center line as well. We'll get rid of some of the rutting in there. It will improve the super elevation through the curve on County Highway B. That's the banking of the curve as you drive around it. It will install centerline rumble strips and wet reflective edge line paint to help people embed their lane delineation to stay in their lanes better. Minor real estate expansion in Scandinavia to accommodate some sidewalk ramp work. It was let in March, and Northeast Asphalt is the apparent bidder on that one. Construction will be July through September, and then traffic control will be single lane closure with flagging during working hours. All this information can be found on our 511wi.gov website. If you live on any or these projects or in the vicinity of them that impacts your commute or your day-to-day life in the area, you can follow those and see where the contract is. There's construction contacts with our staff that's out there. There's a map of the project, and then if there's any meetings that were held, they'll have the links to those that you can watch as well. And then the web address is there. Safety and operational review. The only thing I'm really following up on right now is once we have our summer student, we're going to go out and take another look at the intersection of Northeast 7th Street and Highway 110. Those intersections all cross the skew angle, which makes it difficult for a side road driver looking through the A-pillars on your car, which can temporarily early height of vehicles, so people don't always move their head back and forth. Look, and that can lead to problems. Has been an uptick in accidents there. The chief did contact us to investigate that. I did see that in 2021, there was actually 5 accidents, so that trend seems to be continuing. Primary crash type is an angle failure to yield with south, and the last 2 that I saw were southbound traffic on 7th, heading south into Marion, colliding with the eastbound traffic. Those are the blue lines, the M and N crashes. Our typical response to that type of a crash trend is to build a J-turn. So you would have to turn right off the side road and then hit a crossover and come back around. We'll take a look at what we've got. We'll see if the numbers work on that. We do benefit cost analysis, everything before we make any final determinations. Obviously share that with the public to get their thoughts. We will do an intersection site distance check there. My guess is it's probably good. Why is there this spike in crashes? Do a speed check out there. My guess is that speeds are probably running high because of the typical cross section being so wide out there. And I know somebody had asked if we could put a dynamic speed feedback sign. We don't use those in this type of an area, usually typically coming into town at school zones, so that's not a standard application. However, there is a speed trailer that's available. I don't know if you have a speed trailer you could put out in that area as well. Just to call attention to drivers that the speed limit, I think it is 55 in there. So, but they're probably pushing 70. My guess is you could write tickets all day there, just looking at it. If there's any other business other than what Casey shared, I'll pass it on to our manager about the pending request for a roundabout via county resolution.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. Any questions for Tony?
The intersection of 110 and 45, real close to where you just shared with 7th Street and 45. They just had a pretty good accident here Sunday.
Anything else for Tony? Thank you, Tony. Mr. McClone, anything?
Just what I said before, like Casey talked about that vehicle on at N2908 double Q, and then I just keep hearing from my people, and I spend a lot of time out in the White Lake area near 110, and they're all very concerned about that. And I say it's on the state list, and I feel bad for them, but I know it's a state road. Thank you.
Thank you. That's not here. Rick, I have you next.
Not a whole lot there, but. Statewide numbers as of yesterday, 123 fatalities compared to 109 last year at the same time. So the numbers are still trending up. We're kind of seeing that. Not just within the state. Seems like nationwide, we're seeing the fatalities are up. Next one. There's been a change, and you might have noticed this when you ran the numbers, but they made a couple changes to community maps. They redefined the distracted flag to bring in the data from the new crash report. And there's been some discussion about how distracted driving has gone up. One thing to keep in mind is that 5 or 10 years ago, when you took a crash report, most law enforcement, myself included, was pretty hesitant to put down distracted because we really didn't know, and it really wasn't out there on the forefront. I think in the past 5 years, we've done a lot of training for especially law enforcement about the ability to put down your opinion. Your opinion doesn't require you to be able to prove it in court. It's just my opinion is you were distracted. And then they ask you to further define it on the crash report. So I think that some distracted is going up, but I think the recognition of it has gone up more than the actual events. I mean, I think we've been distracted for many, many, many years. I think we're just doing a better job of defining it.
And then they replaced the seatbelt flag with a safety restraint flag.
Because the seatbelt flag also used to include no helmet, which isn't required by law. And I believe eyewear for motorcyclists. So now that won't include motorcyclists without a helmet. We're looking at adding another flag for that.
And then the alcohol and drug flag is
Behind the paired flag. Now there's discussion that counties want to start watching the drug. Right. So there will be a way to eventually pull that out. I think it does the recording, which is impaired. They don't. On the face, they don't break it down. So that's kind of what we're doing here too.
So that's why you'll
See
see
some of the things are the flags.
next one. These are the numbers we talked about.
And as you can see,
Numbers are
are about the same.
other than, the biggest thing I noticed is your age.
Injury crashes went from 8 last year during their first quarter down to 1.
Some of that probably goes along with,
The winter was a little worse last year than it was this year. And I didn't go through and detail all those, but I think just looking at it.
and then otherwise the numbers seem to be about the same. One thing I did notice is your speed crashes are about
The same. 3 of the other counties in this area that I have, their speed crashes were down quite a bit. And they said, because of the same thing, there wasn't a lot of too fast condition crashes this year versus last year. But I do think, especially with Highway 10, I think that seems to be one of your bigger factors, is speed.
right. Next one,
No fatal crashes, at least not for the first quarter.
next one. Mobilization's coming up.
And these are the ones that NHTSA has out there where they do various PSAs. It's not the ones that the state pushes as much, but they're all out there and you can jump on any of those anytime.
Our big one is going to be Click It or Ticket over Memorial Day weekend. And
Then the next big one eventually will be the Labor Day.
and then we do have the July 4th
Impaired driving. Because I think this year, July 4th is on a Monday. So that'll really, you'll have a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's good or bad, because when it was on a Tuesday, people just took Monday off or, so.
Again, just campaigns that we would ask everybody to be part of. Next one, say the date for the governor's conference, August 29th to the
31st, it's different this year. It starts on a Monday. That has to do with our contract with Chula Vista. Because this is a holdover from 2 years ago, we didn't have one. They just keep it.
That's right.
Yeah, the requirement was, you don't pay anything extra, but you need to have your next conference once things open up. And the only way it worked out was doing it the last weekend of August.
We do have some information on some topics and speakers, and hopefully they'll have that out fairly soon.
I believe we talked a little bit about this at the last meeting, but
Just a reminder, we do have this partnership with AAA. We have the Fatal Vision
goggles for opioid and for marijuana. If you go on YouTube and look it up, they'll actually have a couple of short demonstrations of them. I believe we have 5 kits that AAA purchased. The next one, please. What I like about it is that it
does the divided
attention, which is the same thing that happens when they ask you to recite the alphabet. Anybody can recite the alphabet A through Z, but if I tell you to start at F and end at J, that's where people, that's where you get the fact that they can't follow both of those directions. Same thing with this. And I've played with it a little bit. We've done some training with it. Right now, 4 of the 5 units are out. But it does a good job of explaining what happens when you use marijuana or what happens when you use the opioids. And it's not to the point where it says, if we were to say, alcohol is bad, you can't drink any alcohol, you'll be impaired, nobody would even look at the goggles or want any of the training.
Same thing with this, we're not saying that one hit of a joint and now you can't drive a car. You can't physically do it. This does kind of give you ideas of what the impairment is and why we're so concerned about it. So if any agencies or schools are interested, let me know. The goal would be that we would do some training sometime around the time of a traffic safety commission meeting so that they could have the units for, say, 3 months, and then we would pick them up at the next meeting. So if the school district was interested, we would set up some type of training. Normally Randy would come up and train 1 or 2 people. I think it takes an hour or 2. And then from there, they would be able to train everybody else or, and what I like about it is you don't have to wear them to know what's happening. I mean, you can watch it being done and see what's going on. One of them is a maze that they put on the wall and you take a marker and go through it, and then you put the goggles on and do the same thing. And you can see that they can't do it because it blocks out certain receptors, so you don't see certain things. Or even there's one where you lay this thing on the floor, plastic tarp thing, and you have to walk through a maze with some little flashing lights that tell you where to go. And as you're walking, you lose vision in like a part of this eye or part of this eye, so you don't see it. So it kind of gives you an idea that, yeah, I can kind of do this, but I missed that red light. So I drove through it and caused a crash, or, and it does give you some good information. I think it's really good, especially when people don't realize that the marijuana that was around there when I was growing up is not anything close to what we're seeing today. I mean, that stuff was, I think we used to call it ditch weed. That's nothing compared to what you're seeing out there today. It's so refined now. And it, even if it's not here in the state, it's all around us. So it's coming through the state. So again, if you're interested, just give me a call and I can get you on the list. Next one. Going along with that, the DRE school is coming up in October. There are still openings. The contact person is still Steve Krejci. He retired from Milwaukee PD, and sort of his counterpart. There are openings in it. It's fully funded. There's also going to be one in the spring, and there is talk, and I haven't gotten a hold of Steve in the last couple of weeks, but that they would be able to fund the backfill of the officer. So they already will pay the officer or deputy to go to the training, but a lot of times, unless your staffing is pretty good, you have to pay overtime to now backfill that position. So they're looking at funding that also. And it doesn't necessarily have to be on a full-time thing. If he said, if he's gone for, I think it's almost a little over a month, I'm gonna have to pay 10 days of overtime to backfill his days. And that's the reason you can't do it. It's not that you can't fill the overtime, it's just a funding issue. That's what they're trying to overcome with this. Next one. And again, if you have any requests there, and then I did put this all in there, I'm just going to go through it verbally, but legislative updates, the ATV, UTV speed limits that we talked about, where the municipality can set a limit separate or different than what motor vehicles can have, that passed. So those signs that have probably been out there for a long time are now legal. The green light thing gets signed on Friday. The governor's doing a press thing for the green lights on highway department vehicles. And then a lot of other things got vetoed. To include the policing grants, the law enforcement standards board training reimbursement. They were trying to, I think it was double or triple the $160 a year. I think it's $160 a year you get per officer for the 24 hours of training. That was vetoed by the governor. There were like 46 bills, I think, that were vetoed. A good portion of them have to do with policing grants and carrying concealed weapons, carrying concealed reciprocity, firearms possession on school grounds, which isn't as bad as it sounds. It means if I'm a concealed carry holder
and I drive into the school to pick up my kid from school, I would still be able to have the gun in my car. Or if I'm, let's say I'm a teacher, I would be able to have it in my car while it's parked in the parking lot. I couldn't have it with me in school. That was also vetoed by the governor. And it doesn't sound like we'll have much going on with the elections coming up. We're pretty much in re-election mode already.
Right.
So we don't see, other than the fact there's a little over 200 bills still sitting on the governor's desk waiting for him to look at. And there's no indication, other than the green light thing, there's no indication about any of the others and what's happening. That's all I have.
Thank you. Any questions for Rick?
I have, I don't have a question, I have a comment, and I've thought about this, and it's a perfect time. So there I was teaching ninth graders in a certain school. And I know that you just got done saying, if you pick somebody up the alphabet, there were some of my ninth graders, and you wouldn't want to tell the parents that don't know the alphabet. So how do you then, as a law officer, know this person doesn't really, he isn't drunk or on drugs? He just don't know what it is. What happens then?
Well, but that's not the only test. That's one of many.
Okay.
And a lot of them don't even use the alphabet test anymore, but as an example, it's probably the best way to explain divided attention span is telling you, start with D and end with S. And then, D, E, F, G, and I've got to remember, I got to stop at S. That's just a good way to explain what divided attention is. There's other tests that are standardized that basically do the same thing. Walk 9 steps in this fashion, that type of thing. But the alphabet's still the easiest one.
Another thing on that too is normally we would ask them if they know the alphabet.
Right.
A to Z.
Okay,
So
You say. A
if
to
they
Z.
say no, I'm probably not gonna do that test.
okay, great.
So,
I just thought, this doesn't make
yeah.
sense.
So Rick, I do have a question. I kind of missed what you were saying about the ATVs and UTVs with the speed limit. Can you say that again?
A lot of the counties will set up, okay, you can have an ATV on county 8.
Yep.
But it'll be 35 miles an hour. And it's a 55-mile-an-hour highway.
Yep.
Up until this law was signed, or this bill was signed, that was illegal to do that. Meaning you couldn't set a speed limit lower than the standard speed limit for vehicles.
Yep.
So if a car could go 55, the ATV could go 55.
Yep.
Now you can in fact set a lower speed, the municipality can.
How do you enforce that?
Haven't badged anyone.
I mean,
Right.
Is there a proposal for a universal speed limit sign?
I know there was discussion about that. I don't know.
So that all areas in the state are using the same signage?
Well,
I
and
know
does
there
it have
was-
to be posted to
Yes.
enforce it?
Yes.
They have them on Larson Road in town of Clayton where I live.
The
Like,
DNR has the signing
35
standards.
miles.
for-
Right, I was just gonna say, I think the DNR is doing that.
I mean, because if a club wants a trail, they have to sign that trail to the standard. So that's an official marked trail. But I would think there's signs in there.
And I would think too, if it, like the town of Royalton wanted to do it, and they wanted a 35 instead of a 55 on all their roads, they would have to put that speed limit UTV sign up so that the UTVs, ATVs knows that's what it is, because that's different than what the standard is. So then you always have to say, what is the difference? But then, like you say, who's there to catch them, say you're going too fast, but should somebody be there, they can't.
And it does put the onus on the local authority.
Yep.
So if the township sets a speed limit, the township has to do this sign. That doesn't mean, my understanding is that doesn't mean they gotta pay for it. Just means that they have to do the work. But he's right, the DNR is the one who usually sets the standard. They don't really want to get away from the
And our
white.
agreement black is with another unit of government. It's not with an ATV club because those come and go.
I have a question.
when was that signed?
March 11th, it was signed, March 12th, it was published. And it's,
They've got what, 2 weeks after it's published or something to become a law, right? And then a certain date afterwards.
Once it's
The
published.
day after its publication,
Day after.
so the 13th of March.
There was a question from here, you probably.
And amended 34911 and 2333, so. It was Wisconsin Act 164, 2021 Act 164. Sorry.
Yes, Becky.
Can you clarify for me, because I can't remember from a previous meeting, can police officers pull over the ATVs on the road, or does it have to be the DNR?
No, we can do it.
Law enforcement can.
Okay,
Whatever UTV patrol.
so law enforcement can pull over an ATV.
Yes.
I thought it was only if they were involved in an accident with the vehicle. Okay, thanks for that clarification.
The issue comes in if the township sets a speed limit. Who can enforce it?
Well, there's one town that wanted an MOU with us to enforce the speed. Just can't do it with our manpower. But if the county highway is gonna set those speeds in, it's a different story.
Now, I think this might actually change that. Township can set a speed limit of 35 on a town road and the sheriff can enforce it.
Now it can.
So before this, an arbitrary thing that I don't know if you'd be able to put this, since it's under 34911, I would think.
And a lot of them didn't set the speed limit because of that.
Right.
So it'd be interesting to see if the county highways are posted 35. I know in Shawano County they are.
They have been since they started in Shaw at 35.
For
So is that
ATVs.
your?
Yeah,
You
that's
got
what
to
it
do
is.
that then, or-
By my house is 35.
I never was involved in it, I guess. It's always been the sheriff's department.
They go a lot faster than us.
So no sign, no speed limit other than the actual posted.
Yeah, because I don't know that it would be fair to say there's an ordinance that says the speed limit is 35
Not posted.
and not posted.
Right, otherwise how do you enforce it?
So they're saying if not posted otherwise,
I think it's like any other one, wouldn't it be?
speed limit is.
It's not
It's
posted.
whatever the
Speed
speed
limit.
limit is, right? If you're gonna have a lower speed limit coming into Waupaca, you've got to post it, whether it's for a car or a ATV.
And those have to follow certain guidelines by
Right.
state law.
Signs and stuff.
Yeah,
I
I get a lot of questions out of townships now because of that. They want to understand, how do I set the speed limit on a town road? What can I do? What can't I do? When does the state have to step in and say, okay, you know, it's like, for the most part, if they follow the laws, we don't have anything to say.
Any other questions for Rick? All right. Sheriff Wills.
don't have anything.
Thank you. All right, thank you. Any questions for the sheriff? Not emergency management, Andy Carlin?
Nothing.
Questions for Andy? State Patrol, Trooper Linger?
Yeah, I have, well, a couple things. The first thing, Todd kind of put me on the spot when I first came in. I am leaving Waupaca County. I accepted an inspector position in Winnebago County, so I have like a week and a half left here in the county. And I'm hoping to get back here if they put an inspector spot, but we'll see what happens. So maybe I'll be back in a year. Who knows?
I don't think she asked for permission, did she? I don't see it on the
Thought it was
agenda.
given.
My kids, it's all about the kids. So
What's the
better
area?
schedule. It's area wide in Winnebago County, so the whole county. So. Yep. So a second thing, with my fatality that I had at the end of December last year. I think we had a traffic safety meeting in January last. I did not have any updates. I was trying to get into her phone, was having some issues. Grand Chute PD was having issues getting it open, like unlocking it or whatever, getting the information off of it because it was an iPhone 13 and was really new. So it was kind of up to me to try to get into the phone, and I did crack her code with her kid's birthday. Took me a couple tries, but I got in. And what I learned was that to make a long story short, it was a distracted driving, more than likely texting while driving incident. And now with the results of the blood coming back, that there was nothing, it all makes sense. What happened was she got home from work that morning. She works at a nursing home. Gets home in the morning, boyfriend wasn't there. She tracked him on her phone, found him in New London. I'm coming to you. A lot of words exchanged, and it was text after text after text from, I don't know, a couple hours of text going back and forth before she ended up over here. And I believe when she was up north on Reek Road, I believe she was lost. I believe she stopped at that train track because she was just lost, didn't know where the heck she was going, and she was trying to track cheating boyfriend. So
she turned the wrong way on 10, and got hit on by the semi.
So when
That's the
she,
one?
yeah, so
Alright.
when she turned from Reek Road onto
Onto
Highway
10.
10, I believe that she was texting at that time, because when I cracked the code and I opened her phone, in the outgoing message box, it said, "You cheat." It was CHEATIN. And then it was like a bunch of random numbers. Like she was texting, and I'm guessing her, you know what I mean?
Yep.
The impact probably had her finger slip. So it was like, "You cheating." blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah.
Oh, how sad.
So I'm thinking she was texting at that moment, and the times from everything, looking at like when people were calling it in and when the call came out and all that, it all came together. So that's
Well,
what
at least
happened.
that answers the question.
She hit
Yeah.
the car first.
Did she what?
She hit the car or the semi.
The car. Yep, the car, the little Mini Cooper.
Yeah, because the semi was behind them.
Yep. Yep. So there was closure on that, and
Yeah.
I gave her parent, her mom, some closure on that, which was really nice. So, and now I'm finding out there's nothing in the blood too, so I'll let her know
Yeah.
that there was not, so.
Okay.
Okay, that's all I got.
Any questions for Kendi? All right, if not. Pat Craig.
This is my last meeting because I chose not to run for county board again, so I'm no longer chair of law enforcement, so I won't be here. But you need to know, I find this an extremely interesting committee. I think it gives a lot of information to this group. And as I said to Todd earlier, it would be great if you all could be at county board so that every supervisor could hear what you do, because I think serving the citizens of Waupaca County and the state, as you guys do, is fantastic. I mean, it's information that gets shared among each other, and I totally got educated as to a lot of things that are happening, be it the simple things of where are the crashes. I mean, wow, is that an eye opener? I mean, people think, oh yeah, so I'm going on Highway 10, everybody's going 70, I could go 70, I go 75. Wait a minute, not quite accurate. And where are the crashes? What's going on, along with things like the ATV or things like Becky brings up. I just think that's so important for everybody to know. So thank you for all representing your different divisions that you do and continuing to have this traffic safety, because it's a fantastic job you do, and I've appreciated what you do. So thank you.
And thank you, Pat.
Thanks, Pat.
You should tell Dick that you want to be like the public. Doesn't he appoint like a person in the
But that's
public?
Joe McClone.
Oh, I'm sorry, Joe.
That's
Any
okay.
Questions for Pat? Anything to say to Pat? All right, then we added one end here that Sergeant Kyle Excursion. I'll introduce you for him. In the past, you saw Lieutenant Stadinsky here. He was promoted to captain in the communications center. So Sergeant Excursion just got promoted to lieutenant of patrol. So he will be coming instead of Kevin from now on. That'll take effect in the next, officially prior to our next meeting. our meeting in July, is it? Right? He'll be a lieutenant in that meeting. As a sergeant, however, he is our grant facilitator. So up on the screen, there are some numbers to the grant, and I'll let him explain the grant that we've started and is currently ongoing. Go ahead, Kyle.
So this is the Waupaca County Task Force grant, specifically targets impaired drivers. It began December 17th, 2021. I was supposed to start in October. There was a little bit of a delay getting it going. So the numbers that I have here for you guys today go through April 11th of this year. So in total, we were awarded $60,480 so far for the year. We've had 356 overtime hours for a total of 14 deployments, which means 14 days that we deployed overtime officers for totaling for 16,210.59. That does not include 2 deployments from the month of April for a total of 64 hours.
Kyle, is that just for salary or hourly wage?
That's
or is that for
hourly,
deployment rates?
hourly wages at overtime rates.
Okay,
So far we have the sheriff's office was 260 hours of overtime wages. Waupaca Police Department has a total of 44 hours. New London Police Department, 35 hours. Waupaca Police Department, 9 hours, and Clintonville Police Department, 8 hours. One thing they added in there, Manawa, Fremont, and Iola did not wish to participate in the grant this time. There's also state troopers that are tied to this grant. They've done approximately 48 hours. They operate under a separate grant that piggybacks off of ours, so their time does not count towards the Waupaca County funding. Along with that, we are required to match 25% of that 60,000, which would be $15,120. And as of right now, we are at the 10,000, so we're 2/3 the way there with 8 months or 6 months further to go yet.
does everybody understand the matching at straight time that we assign people to work that?
So in total, there's been 656 traffic stops related with this grant. That includes the overtime and the straight time match officers. So out of those 656 traffic stops, there's 301 stops where there's no written warning, there's no citation. It was a violation and the officer gave basically a verbal warning or get this taken care of and you're on your way type thing. 366 total citations, and underneath that you'll see that broke down. There's 40 seatbelt citations, 98 speed, 17 OWI. That also includes the prohibited alcohol content, the second sister citation, you could call it, if there is one occurring. The operating after revocation, operating after suspension, operating without a valid license, 37 citations total. Open intoxicants, 6 citation. Vehicle registration would be 12, and vehicle equipment would be 6. All other citations, 150 additional citations to that group. The warnings, this would be written warnings, 108 total, 48 for speed, 19 for registration, 41 for equipment violations, and again, all other for 13. And the last numbers that I would have for you is basically a contact. So there's been 11 drug contacts, 7 felony contacts. That would be traffic felonies, not including drug felonies, 12 misdemeanor, which would again not be including the drug contacts, and 6 warrant contacts. So basically 6 people that had warrants, outstanding warrants, were arrested because of this program.
Any questions for Kyle?
I just want to comment, that's fantastic.
It is.
To think that we can get that grant and only pay 25% of it, and look at all of the different things we discovered once we could have people working on overtime to help the public stay safe.
And just to clarify, that 25% that we're paying would be a deputy on patrol right now that's specifically targeting traffic enforcement. So it's not, we're not paying any extra. They would be here regardless.
Right.
So.
Oh, that's fantastic. And I like it when we see it on TV, click it and tick it. You know what I mean?
Is that
It's
part
like
of it?
Yeah, so
all
we did,
kinds of things.
so we did participate in the, there was one in December, this is the holiday drive silver program. We will be participating in the Click It or Ticket in May, Memorial Day timeframe. And then there's also another drive silver event. So we will be participating.
That's fantastic. Thank you for writing those grants and getting them. Keep that up.
Absolutely.
Do you use mileage as a match?
Not for this mileage does not count, though my understanding, for match for this grant.
I know some counties are actually hiring a dispatcher on their grant also.
And I have brought that up to my individual I'm dealing with, and I was told no, because for this grant, participants have to be certified in field sobriety.
Oh, okay.
So if, and our
Maybe it's the-
dispatchers are not. So for
Active protection, you can't.
yes, and also for the distracted driving grant, they could, and there was a couple
Yeah, for
other times
speed.
where they could, yes.
That's right. So I'll say some of them are hiring a dispatcher on overtime.
Correct.
And actually paying it out of the grant.
Correct.
But yeah, that's right. That's what requires with
This grant,
one of the I grants, you have to be SMST certified, so, yeah.
Could you use Deputy Malik? He doubles as a dispatcher.
that's a good question. I guess it would, in my opinion, it'd probably be going against the scope of the program also.
Probably.
I would guess no.
Work around and we don't want to. do that.
And we are so close already, because we have 6 months left of this grant, and we're gonna hit that 15,000 mark. Probably by the end of this month, so it's not gonna be an issue to make that
25.
grant to match that number, so.
I know a couple counties where they have 10 or 12 people out for their grants. And it overwhelms dispatch, so that's where they
So-
eventually got to the point. For
We are,
protection and for speed. Hiring another dispatcher that just handles nothing but that.
But they do post.
we are, so yeah, we are putting an extra dispatcher in the comm center just for these traffic grants because of the radio
Just not
traffic.
able to reimburse.
Correct,
And then they do go on their backup channel to do all the grant work.
correct. Otherwise, with the amount of people that we put out at one time, it gets a little difficult to get on the radio for our standard calls.
So it kind of works good with Lieutenant, now Captain Stadinsky, was in patrol, now communications. So we work real well with him and say, hey, we got something coming up, you may want to put somebody in there, so. Any questions for Kyle?
At our that's the meeting, I'm gonna bring that up, but I think that's ridiculous. If you gotta pay a dispatcher at what, $30-some an hour? That should be
Yeah,
probably more than that, but why shouldn't that come out of 60,000?
because you need it.
Because you have more units on the road.
Mhm. So yeah, so the average deployment, we're averaging 4. So it would be, say, 3 from Waupaca County, 1 from Wyoming Police Department. We're averaging 4 officers on those deployments. And now we're also averaging 3 state patrols at every deployment. So we're talking, when we put those deployments out, there's 7 additional officers in Waupaca County, where there might be 1 from Wyoming or wherever at one time. So you're talking,
Well,
So
you're
it's
stopping a
got-
lot more cars than just 4 deputies on the road.
correct.
All right, thank you, Kyle. Chief Leskey, anything? Chief Schleter?
Nothing from us.
Is that a no?
Yeah, nothing.
All right, anybody else? I see Matt.
Hi, I'm here. First time joining this group, so I do appreciate all the information. I just a little background. I'm Matt Hallida with East Central Wisconsin Regional Planning Commission. We typically attend a lot of the other county meetings, so I do apologize that we haven't been a part of these meetings in the past, but did a little investigating and found the link, worked with Kim and getting the agenda and stuff. So part of what we do, we have a transportation planning program here, and so these meetings help us to kind of find these problem areas and just kind of the 10 or the 1545 and T intersection, that roundabout discussion earlier. We were a part of it with more on the discussion with Commissioner Steingraber, but I guess I'd look to also connect with Casey on this as well too. So Again, thank you for the opportunity. Online, I'll try and attend in person the next time too, to kind of meet everybody as well too, so. No questions, just wanted to introduce myself and let you know that we'd like to continue to be a part of this group, so.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
If the group has nothing else, I will take a motion for adjournment.
Or go ahead.
Also.
He's retiring too eventually.
Yeah. Is there a second, Pat? A second for Pat, since it's our last one. All those in favor of adjournment, signify by saying
That's for you,
aye.
Tony.
Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Carried. Meeting is adjourned, 11:03. Thank you, Pat.